So you want to get started on a ketogenic diet. Congrats. What's the best way to do it? Should you ease into it or just start right away? That's what we'll be talking about today. Give me just 5 minutes and I'll help you decide the best way for you to get started on a ketogenic diet so that you can feel confident as you move forward and try out this new fantastic way of eating. Also, I have a free video training that you can watch, which will show you exactly how I get my clients set up when they're ready to fully start on keto for mental health, including how we track macronutrient ratios. Just drop me a line below and I'll reach out and send it your way. For those of you who don't know me, hey, my name's Julie Saad. I'm an ADHD and nutrition coach who's certified in functional therapeutic diets. In a nutshell, I help my clients reduce their ADHD symptoms without relying on medication so that they can go from frazzled to focused, get fit, and find time for fun. In these videos, I like to give you bite-sized pieces of information and strategies that you can implement immediately after watching. So over the next 5 minutes, I'll walk you through 4 different ways you can get started on keto, including the pros and cons of each so you can decide which way will work best for you. I'll also tell you how I did it and why. So the first way that you can get started is by simply stepping down your carb intake and moving closer and closer to your ultimate desired macronutrient ratio of fat, protein, and carbs. So to start this, you'll want to just eat the way you do on a typical day and track everything you eat to see how many grams of carbs you normally ingest. So let's say, for example, you do this and it tells you that you're eating 270 grams of carbs per day. But let's say you've decided you want to limit yourself to 20 grams of carbs per day. You could do this by reducing your total number of carbs by 10 grams a day, every day for 25 days until you're eating the daily number of carbs that you wish. Now, the pros to this are you'll be gradually changing over from your current diet to the new one. So the first few days might be easier as you'll just kind of be tweaking the amounts you're eating of certain things and then can gradually start buying foods that are more in line with your goals. So you might avoid having to throw out or give away so much food as you can just eat it. You'll also have the opportunity to really get a sense of the macronutrient content of what you're eating. The cons are that this is kind of complicated. You really have to pay attention to exactly how much you're eating each day. And if you're still eating a lot of carb-rich foods, it can be hard to stop yourself to not go over the limit. Am I right? The second way that you can get started on keto is to eliminate certain types of food step by step and add in others until everything you're eating gets the green light. So for example, maybe week 1, you're going to take out all added sugars and all forms of alcohol. Week 2, you're going to take out all kinds of grains, including whole grains. Week 3, beans, legumes, and starchy vegetables gotta go. Week 4, all fruit except for maybe berries if you're allowing yourself berries. Week 5, anything else. You can set this up however you want. How long should the timeline be? Really, it's up to you. It could be 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month. There are no hard and fast rules here. The good thing about doing it this way is since you're focusing more on the types of foods you're eating, you don't have to worry about counting macros so much in the beginning. That's something you'll work up to as you get going. The bad thing is eventually you will need to look at your macronutrient ratios, protein, carbs, and fat. And it's possible to still be eating quite a lot of carbs, even if you've already eliminated some foods, like maybe you've eliminated donuts, but you're going to town on brown rice, which is a no-no on keto. So you're still going to need to reduce your carb intake eventually. So by following this strategy, you're kind of delaying the inevitable. So you'll need to make sure that your motivation is strong so that a few weeks down the line, you're ready to really make the switch and go on a diet that's high in fat, moderate in protein, and very low in carbs. Basically, I don't want you to start strong and then lose your motivation when it's time for the hardest part, which is getting the carbs out of there. Now, a third way is kind of similar, and that's going on some version of a whole foods diet beforehand. This could be something like the paleo diet or the Whole30 diet. There are all sorts of variations of whole food diets, but in general, you want to think about eating foods as close to their natural state as possible, and bonus, if they're foods that people have been eating since way back when. So eating things like meat, vegetables, nuts, fruits, and avoiding things like sweets, grain products, and vegetable oils. Ugh. The pros of this approach are that many people achieve dramatic mental health benefits just from adopting a whole foods diet like paleo or Whole30. So you might find that that was enough for you and you don't even need to go on keto. The cons are that, just like in the previous approach, if you do eventually decide to go on a ketogenic diet, you will still need to get over the hump of transitioning from a diet that's likely high in carbs to a very low carb one. So you'll want to make sure you still have some motivation down the line for a couple weeks from now when you move into this phase. The last approach is the one I use, which is the diving in head first, ripping the Band-Aid off approach. And that's the one I used, but to be fair, I did have a bit of practice with intermittent fasting already, so I do think that helped. So if you wanted, you could also try a period of intermittent fasting just before moving to keto, or you could just go for it, 0 to 100. The reason that I chose this way is I'm really an all or nothing type, and to be honest with you, I'm quite impatient. I want to get the results as fast as possible, so if you're that way too, this might be more your style. You could also make the case that it's simpler, no ramp up period, just go for it. So the main pro to doing this is that, at least in my opinion, you can capitalize on your motivation while it's still fresh. Keto is one of those diets that can be challenging to start, but then it gets easier and easier to where it's basically automatic for most people. So you'll need to front load your motivation and willpower to get it off the ground, but once you get going, it's usually pretty smooth sailing. The con to this ripping the Band-Aid off approach, well, you might have to throw out or give away some food if you have it in your house, and you're going to have to figure out what to eat like now. But you can do it. So those are some different ideas for various ways to get started on a ketogenic diet. Now, if you'd like to learn more about the specifics of the ketogenic diet for mental health, I've created a free video guide that you can watch that shows the exact steps I use with my clients to get them started on a ketogenic diet. It's free, no email address or opt-in form required. Just leave a comment and I will send it your way.